Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Conversations with Coaches podcast, lessons. Still working with that sort of subtitle. These are short little mini-sodes or mini pods, even compared to the relatively short interview pods that we do with all these coaches. These, I've been doing a pretty good job keeping these to around 5 minutes or so, and they're basically just a collection of the things that I've learned or had confirmed or had my wisdom expanded by all of my conversations with coaches. Pretty straightforward, pretty literal. We like to keep it literally minded here, at least as much as possible. So the one I want to share with you today, and this is kind of another mini series within this mini series, these aren't really attached to any specific coach more than they are really just something that I get from virtually every coach I talk to. And that actually kind of brings me to the point I want to talk about today, the lesson I've learned today. Or the lesson I've learned frequently, I think I learn it every day, is it's kind of a paradox. So the first part of it is every coach I talk to, pretty much, I mean, without exception that I can think of, has a certain number or a certain collection of things that are just in common or common across. It doesn't matter if you're, a coach for a year or 30 years or more or less, or how you got your start, whether you've been a coach for most of your life or you did like a midlife pivot or on your third career change and found coaching at a certain time in your life. Doesn't matter if you're a career coach, an executive coach, a life coach, a love coach, a relationship coach. Yeah, heck, even sports coaches or fitness coaches I've spoken to. There are these just certain qualities that all coaches seem to exemplify. The one that always stands out to me the most is a strong desire to give back and serve. A lot of times that is basically they'll have an experience or a collection of experiences in their life, and it will digest or process in them in such a way that they realize, I learned so much, became so much, grew so much from this experience. How do I share that? And I think also there is a common understanding amongst all these coaches that they understand that their experiences are unique to them, but still translatable to other people. And I think that concept, that word translation, is really key to a lot of coaches' approaches, I guess. Anyway, sorry, I tried to trip up on that a little bit, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that desire to give back, and also just the understanding that there is a sort of translation process involved in being a good coach, in being a good servant, a good guide. And right alongside that, and this is kind of where the paradox comes in, the causes may be common, but the results are, quite frankly, rather uncommon. At least they're uncommon now. And when I say uncommon, I think I more or less mean inspiring, special, worthy of note, worthy of conversation, like we have here. It just feels like so many coaches I talk to, and honestly, it's all of them. Obviously, when I'm preparing for the podcast and getting to know them, and then when I'm talking to them, and then I'm looking at their website later, there's always these stories, and you can call them testimonials or reviews or whatever, but just people who have had not just a good experience with a coach or with this coach in particular, but a great one, a life-changing one, where it's like, I not only understood myself better, not only understood my goals better, but I exceeded those goals and realized that setting goals in and of themselves is some skill I didn't have before. I'm kind of thinking of a specific example in my head, but I'm making a definitely a general point, is the results are so uncommonly good. There's a capital G in there. And I think that sort of paradox, it's not really a paradox, but just that the common causes, common virtues and principles that are true inside of and across every single coach I've spoken to of all different stripes and kinds, they're all united, and they're also very unique and distinct, and they get unique and uncommon results given where they're putting their focus, where their niche is, where they're applying their guidance so that it can have the most effect, the most benefit. Anyway, that's pretty much the lesson there. And I find that that's a lesson I learn every single time I talk to a coach. I hope that's a lesson that comes through every single time you listen to one of these episodes or talk to your own coach or coaches. But that's one I feel like it's worthy of sharing. I find myself frequently bringing up this very idea in my interviews with coaches because sometimes it just jumps right out when I'm talking to someone, and I just want to call it out and praise that commonality, that virtue that I see in a coach and see in all coaches. Thanks for listening to this little lesson. Like I said, it's what I learn every day. And I've got a few more along these lines. Obviously, once I start thinking about this, I start thinking about all the other things that are related to it. It's a nice little virtuous cycle. So the next little mini-sode, next couple of mini-sodes will be sort of along these lines. So look for those in the feed periodically, kind of peppered, sprinkled in between more conversations with coaches. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.